Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Stop Food Waste Day virtual event. I'm Amy Keister, and I'm delighted to be co-hosting this event with my dear friend, Danny Nierenberg from Food Tank. Stop Food Waste Day, a global day of action, was founded by Compass Group when our COO, Rick Post, challenged us to do everything we can to reduce food waste. So we set ambitious targets, cutting our food waste in half, develop simple, intuitive tools to enable our chefs and operators to do their part, all the while creating a culture of fostering an environment of doing what's right for people and planet. We recognize food waste is not a problem we can solve on our own. There's waste throughout the global food system, from farms, markets, and in our kitchens at home. It's up to all of us to own it, to do our part. And that's why we are all here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. I'm so honored to share the stage with you for Stop Food Waste Day. Food Tank shares the Compass Group's incredible commitment to preventing food waste. We are so excited to partner with you on this event. Food Tank is a nonprofit with a very simple mission of highlighting stories of hope and success in the food system, both internationally and domestically. We do this by publishing original research daily, along with daily live casts, reports, books, hosting regular education for policymakers and staffers on Capitol Hill, building curriculum, and hosting sold-out summits with major academic institutions nationwide. What encourages me most about the food waste problem is that every day I'm inspired by so many eaters, farmers, scientists, policymakers, businesses, and organizations who are working toward tangible, real solutions, and you'll hear from many of them today. And I hope you'll visit foodtank.com and stopfoodwasteday.com to learn more. Food Tank is funded predominantly by grassroots members, and you can learn more about joining Food Tank at foodtank.com/join. And thanks again to you, Amy, and all of your team.
Our goal for this event is to inspire everyone to make one change to reduce food waste. So go to our website, follow us on social, and post using the hashtag StopFoodWasteDay. No one wants to waste food. It's not a controversial issue. However, people just aren't aware of how much they're wasting and the impact it has on our precious planet. Danny, we have quite a lineup of folks, from the legendary Gene Smith to the godfather of the food waste movement, Tristram Stewart, the talented and passionate chef, Sam Cass, and the inspiring mayor of Charlotte, Vi Lyles.
Amy, I love that you call Tristram Stewart a godfather. I'm sure he'll love that. And we also have chefs like Haley Thomas and Crystal Wapipa, Grammy-nominated musician and UN Environment Program Goodwill Ambassador Rocky Dawuni.
Danny, this is an amazing lineup. All right, let's get started. At Compass Group, doing the right thing is embedded in our company culture. For well over a decade, we've been on this journey, using our size, expertise, and passion to do what's right for people and planet. Our philosophy is a direct result of our purpose-driven leadership. And now, I'd like to welcome North American CEO Gary Green and Group Commercial Director Palmer Brown.
5 years ago, Compass went all in on reducing food waste, and we designated the last Wednesday of Earth Month as Stop Food Waste Day. Since then, it's been embraced all around the globe and by our great clients, many of which you'll hear from today. I just genuinely want to thank you for everything you've done to make this such a successful initiative. So, thank you.
At Compass Group, our people are by far our greatest asset. Their passion is unmatched in the industry. They are critical to everything we do, from great food to excellent customer service to our sustainability missions. As a company of chefs, our people never want to waste food and always want to do the right thing. Our associates care, and they are our front line in the fight to reduce food waste.
I'm really thrilled to be moderating this panel with experts on technology from across the food system. So let me dive right in and introduce them. First, we have Emily Ma from Google, Dana Gunders from Refed, and Maisie Gansler with Bon Appetit Management Company. Dana, I want to start with you. Why is it so important to reduce food waste?
The reasons to care about reducing food waste there's so many, and they're at like multiple levels. At the highest level, we are looking forward to a population in 2050 that is going to need more food. In fact, the UN estimates that we'll need about 50% more food to feed that population than we need today. And where is that food going to come from? Are we going to pave down more rainforests and native grasslands to grow it, or are we going to use the food that we're already growing? And streamlining our food system today so that we can really be efficient with everything we're growing is critical to that path. So that's kind of the meta level, but even today, we do not eat about 35% of all the food in the US. It has a greenhouse gas footprint of 4% of the whole country. That may sound like a small number, but that's actually equivalent to 58 million cars worth of greenhouse gases. And just financially, it's silly, right? We're throwing away over $400 billion, dollars worth of food. And there's so much financial opportunity in wasting less food as well. And of course, through this pandemic, we have seen that even more people are struggling to feed themselves to find food. And that is just, kind of a moral shame through all this, that we have more than enough food to feed everyone in this country. There should be no one in the food insecure category.
Thanks so much, Dana. Now that we know why it's important, can you talk about some of the leading contributors to food waste?
Oh my goodness, food waste happens for so many reasons. A lot of time we talk about it as if it's one problem, but actually it looks very differently if you're talking about tomatoes not being harvested on a farm versus, a science experiment in the back of your fridge or breakfast platter that has too many potatoes on it. So it really is caused by a lot of different things. Some of the key drivers are the number one source of food going to waste is actually us consumers, all 329 million of us in our homes, letting food go bad, not managing it well. And really that starts with us buying too much to begin with and not sort of being planned and organized in how we're managing our food. Another one is how much food is going to waste on plates in restaurants. Maybe not this year, but in general, when the economy is up and running, about 70% of all the food that goes to waste in restaurants is happening on plates. And so we really need to take a look at kind of the portion sizes that we're serving and why is that happening? Are people not, fond of leftovers? What is it about that? So that's another big driver. And then there's actually quite a bit of food on farms that is not getting harvested. About 50% of of all the produce that does not get harvested on farms is edible. A big majority, not a majority, but about half of that is actually marketable quality. So it's not even just the ugly fruits and vegetables, although there are a lot of those as well. But there's, contracts and market dynamics that are creating surplus on farms as well. So really taking a look at how do we get that fresh produce off of farms once it's grown is important as well.
Emily, if I can turn to you now, how can we use technology to fight food waste along the entire supply chain?
There's so many ways technology can be used to fight food waste along the supply chain, all the way from farm to fork. And it's not always just breakthrough technology. There's some really basic technologies that can make a really, really big difference. So I'll give you one example that I'm super excited by, right? On two ends of the spectrum, right? On one end of the spectrum, the earlier farmers tell us that they have surplus, the more time we can activate lots of people to do something with that surplus, make a plan and move it to where it can be processed or donated or used, right? On the other end, in terms of food insecurity, it's really interesting if people can tell us earlier that they may need food assistance, right? And technology can be as simple as automating cell phone texts to individuals who may not necessarily have, the latest, like smartphone plan, but most people have access to a cell phone. Another way technology can help is to really accelerate the work that all the researchers are doing around the world in this space. And I know that ReFed just launched an insights engine, right? How can technology behind the scenes help to enable others to share their data sets and connect it with data sets like an organization from ReFed to really understand what a particular food waste solution might mean for their organization or their operations, right? That's what happens behind the scenes. We call it auto-magically sometimes with compute. And when you can parallelize compute and when you can use cloud computing to do those things, those tasks become a lot more straightforward and not manual. I'm trying to remove some of the manual nature of data collection, data munging, data formatting, so that we can unlock the creativity and the genius of so many people who are trying to make a contribution to reducing food waste.
Thanks, Emily. You made some really great points. And I'm wondering if there is one area of the supply chain that we should be focusing on more than others.
That is a great question. I believe that there is a massive opportunity to recover prepared food. It is challenging because unlike an apple, which depending on how you store it, you might have up to 8 months of shelf life, a sandwich, you've got maybe 12 to 24 hours to move to somebody who can benefit with that meal, right? The whole entire food recovery system behind the scenes, right, was set up for, firstly, shelf-stable foods, and secondly, groceries. Prepared foods have a much shorter time frame, and so there's an untapped opportunity to move the overproduction from the prepared food world, right, whether it's from food service or restaurants, much more into donations. And also that is actually very beneficial to people who need it, because ultimately there's a lot of folks who don't know what to do with a bag of groceries or don't necessarily have access to a kitchen to cook that food. And what they really need is a sandwich. So we have plenty of surplus on that front as well. And we can never, ever necessarily match supply and demand perfectly. I know that. It's almost impossible. So how can we make the most of what we have in surplus in the prepared food space?
Maisie, I'm hoping we can shift gears now and talk about your work. There are so many tools, innovations, and technologies, as Emily mentioned, to measure food waste. Why did Compass Group develop its own internal tool?
When we looked at all of the food waste measurement tools that were in the market, they were very complicated. And when we implemented them, we found that our unit staff and our chefs often got distracted by bells and whistles that didn't actually contribute to reducing food waste in our experience, but took a lot of time and energy and mental processes to deal with, as well as some hardware issues. So we really wanted to hone in on the specific minimum amount of information that we needed to collect to not only measure food waste, but look at the causes of food waste to give the chefs actionable information to reduce food waste. We're empowering our chefs and associates to reduce food waste by giving them information. First, knowledge is power, and a tool that is designed by chefs for chefs so that they can create solutions that make sense in their kitchens.
Dana, back to you. Can we talk about the report that ReFed just released? What were some of the major findings, and were you most surprised by any one thing?
Yeah, so we just launched our roadmap to 2030. And in that, we set up a framework of 7 key action areas that will be needed in order to really reach our goal of cutting food waste in half by 2030. 5 of those 7 focus on prevention. And so we would really like to emphasize that preventing food from becoming surplus in the first place is a critical step in this whole picture, and sometimes the hardest, but it also has the biggest bang for buck in terms of finances as well as environmental.
Wow, Dana, what a great way to end this panel. Thanks to you and all of the other panelists. I'm really inspired.
Food is precious. Don't waste resources. I love the planet from my head to my toes.
I think one of the larger things that modern day people can learn from indigenous relationships to land and food is first awareness. This awareness that we are directly related to everything around us. It's this idea of kinship that we need to celebrate and generate with our food and the places and the lands that our food comes from. Recognize that we share, for American Indians anyway, we share our spirit with everything around us, our breath, in my culture's belief system. We share breath with the plants and animals and the things that we eat, actually. And it's this underlying awareness that we all come from the same sort of cosmic matter, if you want to think of it that way. And with this sort of awareness, it leads to respect for living things and affects our choices and our practices with regards to our foods. And as a result of that, Native peoples around the world, and also here in North America, have learned how to responsibly treat and interact with our food. And this has resulted in these practical uses of every part of things that are edible. For example, we think about how we go to, there's this local produce mart that I go to, and people ask me if I want to slice off the greens from the top of a bundle of carrots. And I say, no, I want to keep those greens because you can use them in cooking. They actually add great flavor to soups and other dishes. Garlic scapes are very important. We have to learn how to use every part of these things that we grow, not just the bulb of garlic. Fig leaves, even potato skins. These are all things that normally end up in the landfill, but we can relearn how to use every part of these plants, and also animals for people who like to eat animal for protein. We need to learn how to eat all parts of the animals. Don't let it go to waste. And when we do this, it shows and demonstrates a respect for all the inherent cycles of existence. And this is very much an indigenous approach to how we deal with our food, and reduces, and most of the time, this eliminates any kind of food waste among traditional indigenous peoples. We're the food that we eat. The food is us. We're the land is us. The rain that nourishes the land and the food is also us.
Lorenzo Boni, Executive Chef at Barilla America. And let me tell you, today I'm super excited to be here working on a project that I really, really have in my heart, tackling food waste. It's so important for all of us. It's such a big issue in this country and around the world. If you think about how much energy it takes to farm vegetables, produce in general, and then in the kitchen, so much work putting together good food and having things going to waste is unacceptable. We all have to work as a professional chef to tackle this big, big issue. So today I created a recipe that I believe is just perfect as a platform to apply to many other recipes of your liking, and hopefully will inspire everyone watching this. Basically, it's a pesto recipe that I'm putting together with some salad, mixed green salad that I had in the fridge, kind of wilted a little bit. I had it a few extra days. It wouldn't be that great in a salad, but it lost its crunchiness. But if you use it in a pesto like I'm doing, it's gonna be delicious. And then I am using carrot tops. Obviously, I'm using the carrots, these beautiful heirloom carrots, for some other project, but the carrot tops shouldn't go in the garbage. I'm gonna use it for the actual pesto. And then I have some pumpkin seeds for the base of the pesto. Now, you could use any nuts you have in the fridge or you have laying around. I'm using these beautiful pumpkin seeds just because they are nuts-free And so the pesto will be enjoyable by everyone, even people that are allergic to nuts.
Okay, I'm starting my pesto with the dry ingredients. So I'll do the pumpkin, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and the garlic clove. And I'm gonna pulse it a few times to process it real quick like that. So my nuts or my seeds in this case are processed, are really nice and thin. So I'm gonna add the wilted salad and then the carrot stubs. They have an earlier taste. I love them in pastas. Really, really good. Then I'm adding the cheese. Now that the herbs are processed, I'm gonna drizzle in extra virgin olive oil. Bit of lemon, like this. Okay, about half a lemon will be fine. Then I'm adding the cheese. Add a little bit of hot cooking water. We want to use that too. We don't want to waste really anything with this recipe. And I'm just gonna dilute the pesto. The starch will make the spaghetti clump up. So quick rinse under cold water. Pesto smells absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna go directly from the food processor to the bowl. Wow, look at this. Fantastic. Drain my spaghetti really well, and now I'm gonna toss them. It's so green, it smells so fresh, so summery. Love it. And finally, here is an idea of how you can serve this pasta salad. So I'm gonna make a nice nest, twirl it right inside the ladle, and I use the ladle as a base to plate it. Okay. Salmon rolls right over the top. A little bit of black pepper to give a little bit of texture to my dish. Some leftover carrot tops as a garnish. Look how beautiful, nice and fresh. Extra virgin olive oil. So I'm gonna drizzle some over the top and a little bit around the plate to give some extra color. There you go. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. Ciao a tutti.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Stop Food Waste Day event. I'm Chef Ed Brown, President of Restaurant Services at Restaurant Associates. With over 30 years of experience in kitchens and as a leader and innovator in the hospitality industry, I can tell you that reducing food waste is one of the easiest things that we can all do to make a difference. Wasted food is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions around the world. It's a problem that affects everyone. On the other hand, everyone can help fix it. Whether at home or in a Michelin-star restaurant, kitchens are a great place to make the little changes that add up to be a movement. Today, however, we want to focus on another aspect that can create change: business and the decision makers who are leading the intentional change at a broader level. I am honored to be hosting Leading with Purpose panel. This panel of distinguished experts joins me to discuss how food waste impacts their business, why it matters, and what they're doing to make a difference at scale. First, we welcome Jody Smith Westwater, who is Senior Services Manager for Dining Operations at Microsoft. Jody, sustainability and specifically food waste is a top priority at Microsoft. Why is it so important to be leading the way when it comes to sustainability?
You know, from a brand standpoint, there's a lot of trust connected to Microsoft, and there's a lot of corporate responsibility that comes with that. So when we think about what we do on campus, it's not just what we do, but how we do it. And we really want to, as an enterprise, empower everyone on the planet to achieve more. And that really starts with us. And leading by example, I think, is one of the critical ways that as an organization, Microsoft can do that. So, that in addition to the fact that the scale from a food service standpoint of what we do on campus is significant. We serve typically over 40,000 people a day, and the smallest tweak at that level can make a really big difference. So we're constantly seeking new and sustainable ways to approach our business that, maybe in a singular unit doesn't seem like it has as much impact, but over time and in the breadth of our entire portfolio can be pretty meaningful. Also, Microsoft has made holistically some pretty big sustainability commitments, and I'll talk to that a little bit more later. But it's important that we reflect those in what we do too. It's one Microsoft here, and we're all on the same team and moving towards the same goals ultimately. Lastly, the Microsoft employees are, very much embracing this growth mindset, and they challenge us to seek new, better, and different ways of delivering services on site. And sustainability really is a price of entry at this point. Employees expect their companies to push the envelope when it comes to, that corporate responsibility factor and doing things the right way. And we try to live up to that in the services that we provide through dining.
Lastly, what's on the horizon for dining at Microsoft, food waste, and sustainability?
As I referenced earlier, Microsoft as an organization has made some huge sustainability commitments recently. The biggest of which, and that has got the most publicity, is really our 2030 carbon negative commitment. Which includes a lot of different corporate-wide initiatives. Within RE&S, it's showing up in some big ways. Number one is fleet electrification. So we have hundreds of fleet automobiles that supports the moving of people and products on site. So we're working to have that fully electrified by 2030. My counterpart is leading that initiative. We're also looking at carbon-free campuses. And what I mean by that in terms of our scope of services is completely converting to electric kitchen in all of our new locations. So when we look at building, for example, the new Puget Sound East campus modernization project that's occurring right now, it's going to be a new campus with over 16 buildings, home to 13,000 people. And we're designing large scale food halls and espresso stands and things of that nature, including a 77,000 square foot catering kitchen. It's all going to be electric, and we've never done that before. And don't quote me on this, but I don't think it's been done at that scale, at that level in a consumer-facing environment before. When you think about electric cooking, you think about, an induction range at your house, you think about food science labs and things of that nature. You don't necessarily think of large-scale, high-volume commercial cooking. So as we have been digging into that and doing our due diligence, there's a lot of, equipment that doesn't exist yet in terms of being able to, electrically tandoor something, or, electrically have high scale woks that can handle the throughput that we're going to have in our locations. So our team has been phenomenal about working with the equipment manufacturers to, in parallel path, develop these new pieces of equipment that are going to help us be a completely all electric kitchen. So it's a little intimidating. Our chefs are rethinking, how we cook the food, what types of concepts we can offer, how we staff the back of house to run these different pieces of equipment. So for us, I think that's probably one of the biggest game changers is, abandoning cooking with fire, which is such a fundamental part of the industry, and trying to still offer amazing food and great experiences, but cooking it in a more sustainable way, holistically.
Now I'd like to welcome John Utek. John is the Senior Director at the Office for a Healthy Environment at the Cleveland Clinic. John, the Cleveland Clinic considers climate change a risk to the health of our communities. This association may be new to many of our listeners. Would you elaborate on the link between the planet and human health, and why it's essential to combat climate change for our overall health?
So Cleveland Clinic, we have a a very strong commitment to combat climate change because we see climate change as the biggest threat to public health in the United States and around the world in this century. So we've set a carbon neutral goal to be carbon neutral by 2027 through a combination of energy efficiency and sourcing renewable energy, because we think that we need to play a leadership role in reducing healthcare's carbon footprint and the carbon footprint of all organizations in the United States and around the world. Healthcare in the United States is 8.5% of our total country's carbon footprint, which makes healthcare bigger than the footprint. U.S. healthcare is bigger than the total carbon footprint of the United Kingdom. And globally, healthcare is 4% of the world's carbon footprint, which on its own would make it the fifth largest country in the world in terms of total carbon. So we are working with other healthcare leaders to reduce our carbon footprint in the United States and in the other countries that we operate. Food is a part of that. So being efficient with our food resources is just a really intelligent way for us to reduce that impact. And we recently, a week ago, hosted a symposium for physicians across the Great Lakes in the country, because our clinicians are seeing changes to their clinical practice in terms of the number of hot weather days, in terms of rates of infectious disease. So our physicians and nurses are actually having to change their clinical practice because of the health impacts that they're seeing today, and models suggest that they're going to get worse. So we see really three fundamentally important parts for climate change. One is reduce our own carbon footprint, which we can do with our food waste, energy reduction, and renewables programs. Secondly, we need to make our systems more resilient to the impacts of climate change, which has changed the way our physicians and nurses and medical practitioners practice, because all of this is part of our being a healing force in our community. So this is a fundamentally important issue for us.
John, what's happening at the Cleveland Clinic to reduce food waste?
So we see food as an integral part of our healing mission, and Cleveland Clinic has partnered with Morrison to measure and reduce our food waste. And this is fundamentally important because at our main campus in Cleveland, we see some of the sickest of the sick. We do surgeries that have a very high acuity. And so the food that we provide for our patients is part of the healing process for our patients and sustains the more than 25,000 caregivers who operate and work on our main campus every day. So reducing food waste is just a way to, first of all, just make that more efficient and allow us to redirect our resources towards that incredibly vital healing mission. It also works towards optimizing planetary resources so we can feed as many people as possible around the world. And the food waste program, where we measure and minimize our waste on a daily basis, has allowed us to redirect some of that food to feed people in Cleveland, compost what we can't, and really makes food part of our overall mission of healing in Cleveland.
And now I'd like to welcome Gene Smith from the Ohio State University. Gene is one of the most powerful people in all of collegiate sport and is the Buckeyes Director of Athletics. What steps has the Ohio State University taken around reducing food waste? And why is it so important to be leading when it comes to sustainability?
I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we do everything that we can to correct what we've created in our society relative to health and safety for all of human beings, not just in our country, but in the world. You know, I'm blessed. I have 4 beautiful children and 7 grandchildren, and I know what we've created in this world all the way through the Industrial Revolution to now. We need to try and mitigate some of the impact that we've had on our world and make it a better place for them. You know, I would like to believe that my grandchildren will be able to breathe real clean air as they get older, and ultimately be able to, you know, go to beaches and go in the ocean and feel comfortable that it's clean. And so I think the sustainability conversation and all initiatives associated with sustainability is important for the human race, not just the earth itself, but for the human race.
What do you think one of the biggest challenges is on a college campus when it comes to recognizing how harmful food waste is?
I think the important thing for us that we experienced, and I would encourage us wherever we are in our society, this has to be a consistent, sustained effort. It can't be a one-shot promotional thing where you're trying to get exposure or attention and awareness, or trying to get some article written. You have to be committed to it, and you have to make sure that it's constantly focused on in the family that you serve. We're fortunate in our athletic department and business advancement unit to have over 500 employees, and we serve over 1,000 athletes and hundreds of thousands of fans. So we have eyeballs in front of us all the time. So how do we keep this in front of all the people we serve? And that means that we have to keep talking about it. And that's the thing that I enjoyed when we started in 2011 to now, is it's still a priority. And making sure that my teammates that I work with every day, understand that it's a priority. And so we have the ability, because of our visibility, to hopefully encourage others to embrace its importance and come up with their own strategy and techniques based upon their environment and where they are in order to impact change. So I just love it. I just think it's one of the most important things that we need to do, paralleled with all the civil unrest and those type of things in our society. We need to continue to make sure that the sustainability is top of mind.
Well, thank you for joining us for our Leading with Purpose panel. This was an incredibly robust conversation about how our business leaders are viewing sustainability and leveraging their size and influence to create positive change. I hope that you found our segment informative and has further raised your awareness to be part of the movement and take meaningful action. I hope that you enjoy the rest of our 2021 Stop Food Waste Day virtual event.
Shopping with a list will help keep you on track, so you only buy what you need. Do your part and make a plan. Join the legendary fight to stop food waste.
Wow, this has been such an incredible program so far. Dana Gunders always inspires me. She's so matter-of-fact and hopeful about the work that we're doing to prevent food waste. She's really able to articulate the urgency of this issue while also proving how solvable food waste is, how much we can do to prevent it. And I loved how Dr. Salmon spoke so eloquently about how all of us are connected, not only to one another, but to the environment and all beings.
Danny, I completely agree. I was so inspired by John and his correlation between climate health and our own individual health. And Emily Ma talking about using technology to end hunger, amazing. But if anyone can crack that code, Emily can. And to our viewers at home, don't forget to go to the website to take the pledge to make every day Stop Food Waste Day.
It is now my sincere honor to introduce somebody I have admired for a long time, singer, musician, songwriter, and humanitarian Rocky Dawuni. Rocky is a Grammy-nominated musician and the United Nations Environment Programme's Regional Goodwill Ambassador for Africa. And he's been such a great friend of Food Tank. He is partnering with us on a musical about climate change and food insecurity that will debut later this year, and we're so excited. He's someone, again, I greatly admire because he brings such joy to his music and to all of those around him. Over to you, Rocky.
My name is Rocky Dawuni, and I am so honored to beam and speak from you from my native country of Ghana and be part of commemorating Stop Food Waste Day. For me, food is important in the world. And especially right now in the crisis that we are all facing around the world, food is going to be critical. How to feed people and keeping supply chains all going, and also access to nutritious food will be great. So after all this energy too, we have to make sure that that food is preserved and that food is, there's no waste, and all the waste is managed well enough so that we can be able to feed more people. So today, coming live and direct to you from the beautiful country of Ghana, I also want to celebrate and commemorate with a song. This song is called Afro Roots Vibration. It be the music that people say that they want. Now it be the new sensation. It be now so way that people won't make we play. Some people they talk me say I for change. This kind of music how they play. Some people too they talk me say I for no change, I for just make a Africa. So everything we go they do from now, it be the way we go they do. I'm not him go make people go like this not Afro root. He be the new sound way with the take control African radio. They follow other people, their music, because we get our own vibration. Because we get our own vibration. Because we get our own vibration. Afro roots vibration. He be the music that people say that they want. Now he be the new sensation. He be not so way that people won't make we play.
Welcome back to the 2021 Stop Food Waste Day virtual event. And in this segment, you're going to hear from the gangster gardener, Ron Finley, who has made gardening cool again. Specifically, he is inspiring a younger generation with his relatable and adaptable approach to food.
Glad to be here with you guys for Food Waste Day 2021. Food Tank Cuppers Group, thanks for having me. Just give you a few words on how important it is to compost. You compost everything. If it came out of the earth, you put it back in. Everything when we are trimming our trees, old fruit that has fallen to the ground, from grass, to all the leaves, all of this goes back into us making our compost and building our soil, and that's what we need to do. We need to build healthy soil and help this planet regenerate itself. It's so important to the environment that things just don't go into the waste cycle, that we can get to the point where we're building our own structure in our gardens. And that's what this is about. It's not letting any of that material go to waste. It's truly, truly important. And I want you guys to join us and start composting everything. Thanks.
Did you know that using your leftovers helps the environment? It's true. Be a rock star and stop food waste.
One thing that really gives me hope is that the issue of food waste is deeply bipartisan. I've never met anyone that is for food waste. And I'm thrilled that so many policymakers and government leaders are taking leadership on this issue, calling for action, and making incredible strides to engage and work with eaters, farmers, schools, businesses, and other stakeholders. And it's also great to see that policymakers at every level, whether it's city, state, or the federal level, are crossing political aisles and making meaningful legislative change.
Hi, my name is Eric Adams. I'm the Brooklyn Borough President, and I am taking out a moment to talk about food waste. When I used the power of food to reverse my diabetes, I realized how important it is that we don't waste food. So many people are hungry. We can do a better job of having a smaller amount of food and really looking at our portion sizes so we can make sure we don't waste food. Let's not do it. It's crucial. No food waste.
Hi, I'm Richard Blumenthal, United States Senator from Connecticut. Honored to join you for Stop Food Waste Day. Food waste is preventable. It's senseless and, in fact, painful, especially so during this pandemic. I have seen the lines of cars waiting at our food banks involving people who have never before taken anything from anyone. They're there because they are food insecure. They're struggling to put food on the tables of their families. For food to go to waste during this time of loss and food shortage for many families is simply unacceptable. So Stop Food Waste Day has a real pertinence and importance this year. It also has an environmental impact because food that's wasted often goes to landfills where it creates pollution and endangers our planet. That's why I have sponsored measures that would standardize the expiration dates and make them consistent with science, and also make easier food donations to individuals. These measures are common sense, and I hope that you will work with me in supporting common sense steps that stop food waste. We owe it to ourselves, as well as all of the families who are trying to put food on the table, and we owe it to the planet. Thank you for all your great work.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture touches every part of the food system, and we are committed to reducing food loss and waste to protect food security and the environment. We're also coordinating with our partners at EPA and FDA to support research, community investments, education and outreach, tool development, and other collaborations with nonprofits, universities, and corporations. Together, we raise awareness, educate, and motivate more people to reduce food loss and waste.
Hello, Mayor Hancock here from Denver, Colorado. We are committed to sustainability and fighting the very real and present impacts of climate change, and reducing food waste is a part of that effort. Making sure that good food doesn't go to waste is a key component of a well-rounded climate mitigation strategy and supports Denver's climate priorities. We are doing so in a few ways. We are currently testing a new campaign with residents called Busy People Love Leftovers. We've sent 600 households bilingual stickers and magnets to remind folks to eat what's already in their fridge. With more people spending longer periods of time at home due to the pandemic, we hope this effort will go a long way. Secondly, we're getting our employees involved. Almost 500 City and County of Denver employees are participating in a food waste reduction challenge to save money by preventing food waste in their homes. 1 week into the challenge, they have already taken over 1,100 actions to reduce food waste. Lastly, Denver has been one of the first U.S. cities to work with food safety inspectors to educate restaurants on how to increase food rescue and donations. By doing so, Denver has the potential to rescue an additional 1.5 to 7.1 million meals which will go a long way towards helping those who are food insecure in our community. You know, putting in the work to make sure good food doesn't go to waste can help us save water, energy, and labor when food is unnecessarily discarded. We invite Food Tank listeners to include food waste as a key strategy to tackle climate change and join Denver in our efforts to ensure no good food goes to waste.
I'm Charlotte Mayer Vi-Lyles, and I want you to know that I stand with you on this 2021 Stop Food Waste Day. This is a noble cause and one that I wish everyone would embrace. I care because I know hunger is real and no one should experience it. I care because there are too many people that don't have enough to eat. And I care because the less we waste, there will be more for everyone else. Let's stand together to protect what is so important and end all food waste.
Hello, I'm Congressman Dan Newhouse, representing Washington's 4th Congressional District. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words today and for hosting this virtual event with an important message: working together to stop food waste. I think Americans are astounded when they find that 40% of our food in this country goes to waste at our schools, in our restaurants, at our grocery stores, and even in our own refrigerators at home. Our food recovery efforts aim to address this staggering statistic, not only to ensure that the food produced by our hardworking farmers and ranchers doesn't go uneaten, but also to ensure that we can provide access for the millions of Americans who experience food insecurity. As a farmer and former Washington State Director of Agriculture, I know firsthand how hard workers up and down our food supply chain work to make sure Americans have a safe, healthy, and affordable food to feed their families. A lot more goes into food production than meets the eye, which is one of the reasons I am so proud to work with our strong coalition in Congress to reduce food loss and ensure that these meals are not going to waste. This is the goal of the Congressional Food Recovery Caucus, where I serve as co-chair along with Chelly Pingree from the state of Maine. Chelly and I have worked together to introduce legislation that will help our schools reduce food loss and help minimize confusion by streamlining food date labeling. We have a lot more work to do, but it is through collaboration with partners like you that we are able to make progress and cut back on food loss and reduce food waste around the United States. I want to thank you again for hosting this important event, and I look forward to our continued work together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Chelly Pingree. Thank you for coming together and working to stop food waste. You know, estimates indicate that around 90% of Americans throw away perfectly safe food. Meanwhile, we have more than 40 million Americans who are food insecure. We know that 30 to 40% of all the food in the United States is wasted. When it ends up in a landfill, it only contributes to our climate change problem, and it doesn't get to the hungry people who need it. As a longtime farmer and an advocate for reforming our food system, I'm looking forward to reintroducing several bills this Congress to help prevent food waste from ending up in landfills. From consumers to schools, farms to the USDA, there are so many opportunities to make sure that that food doesn't get wasted. Proper waste management is an easy way for individuals to participate in helping with the climate crisis. It comes under the everybody can do something practice, and everyone will feel better if we're not wasting that food. Together we can curb this problem. Thank you to Food Tank and Compass Group for being great partners in this effort. I'm looking forward to our continued work together and solving the problem. Take care.
Hi, I'm Senator Debbie Stabenow. Thanks to Food Tank for the important work you're doing to reduce food waste. As you know, the United States wastes between 30 and 40% of our food supply each year. That's food that could feed hungry families instead of ending up in a landfill where it releases more greenhouse gases each year than all of our cars do. The good news is we can do something about it. I was pleased to write the provisions in the recently passed American Rescue Plan that fund the purchases of more food directly from farmers to feed hungry families. And it funds investments to help food companies retool processing lines, reducing food waste both on the farm and at the food processing facilities. We've got more to do together, and I'm very glad to be your partner.
Hi, I'm Boston City Councilor and candidate for Mayor Michelle Wu. Food touches our lives every day, and it connects us to the broader systems that shape our world. The labor system that links farm workers with truckers, dishwashers, and cafeteria workers. The economic system that lets some businesses thrive while shutting the door for others. The climate system that allows food crops to grow and sustains our ecosystems. In Boston, I've released a full food justice agenda to ensure consistent access to nutritious, affordable, and culturally relevant food as a universal human right, and to support diverse food businesses in underinvested communities. And we've also proposed the first ever city-level Green New Deal to meet the scale and urgency of the climate crisis.
So food is the single biggest impact that humans have on nature. It's by far the biggest cause of deforestation, soil erosion, species extinction, water extraction. All of those things happen because of our food system. So it makes no sense that 1/3 of all the world's food supply is wasted. And on top of that, it means that food waste is a huge opportunity for reducing our environmental impact at the same time as increasing food availability where it's most needed. What Toast Ale does is convert a whole lot of bread that would otherwise be wasted, still perfectly good for consumption, and brews that bread into craft ale. So it can be drunk by people, enjoyed, and so people really get the message that there are actual things we can do about this colossal food waste problem. On top of that, Toast Ale delivers 100% of what would be shareholder profits to charity, indeed to the charity that I founded, Feedback, that campaigns on system change of the food system globally, food waste being one of the central planks of Feedback's work. So by drinking Toast Ale, we turn the waste problem into an opportunity to tell our story, to celebrate solutions, and to drive system change.
Did you know that 40% of all food in the United States ends up in a landfill? That is way too much. You guac to be kidding me.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining this year's Stop Food Waste Day virtual event. My name is Chef Chris Ivens-Brown. I am the Chief Culinary Officer for Eurest and Compass Group North America. We at Compass Group have made massive strides towards waste reduction as far as long as I can remember, all the way back down to my apprentice days. My dear friend and mentor, Chef Albert Roux, passed away this year. But he was a stickler for food waste. Maybe not from an environment standpoint, but more from a financial standpoint. Because not only is it good for the planet, it's so vital for the planet, it's good financially as well. So it's our right as chefs to do the right thing, and it saves money as well as at work and at home as well. So at home, I'm very much big into dehydrating for my family. So it's my honor to be discussing food waste and food waste reduction with this very esteemed panel of very talented chefs and experts who have joined us today, albeit very virtually, to share with us why they care about food waste and what they are doing. And now I'd like to introduce our panel. From Top Chef and owner of Roots Chicken Shack, we have Chef Tiffany Derry. We also have a dear friend and author, executive chef, Morrison's Healthcare, Chef Kerry Neff. Joining us live from New York City, I've always wanted to say that, we have author of Living Lively, a chef, compassion and wellness activist and influencer, represents the next gen of chefs, Haley Thomas. Chef Crystal Wapipa is rooted in Oakland, California, and is here representing both the Kickapoo Nation and the Wapipa Kitchens. Chef Sam Cass is in the house from Venture Partners, joins us with a wealth of knowledge and expertise that spans the entire food system, from his kitchen to the world of venture capital. And then lastly, we are honored to have Margie Seidel from our Chartwell's K-12 group. Margie is a registered dietitian and brings a very unique perspective to the food waste issue. Panel, thank you so much for being here today. We know that food waste matters. It really matters to the food industry, to the environment, it matters to our farmers, pretty much matters to everyone who's actually watching this right now. So can you tell us why is reducing food waste important to you?
Reducing food waste is important for many reasons, environmental, financial reasons, climate, like there are so many reasons, but most important for me, what I believe is it is something that impacts us all. There is so much waste happening and there are people hungry. How is it that we can have a problem of wasting food when there are seriously people who are not eating? So not only is it one of those things that we should be doing because it's the right thing to do, but not only that, there are people who are affected all over the world by the waste that we each do. So let's do better. It's important not only for my family, but my family's family, generations, your family. And it's something that impacts the entire world. It's bigger than you, honey.
So reducing food waste is obviously, critical if we're going to solve, some of the basic challenges we meet. I mean, and what we're facing, it's one of these things that just, it's hard to understand how we're continuing to waste as much as we do. I mean, for me, if you think about like an oil company would pump out oil from the ground and then throw away about a third of it, it just doesn't make any sense. And so it's just a fundamental inefficiency in our system that we would lose all the resources that go into producing our food, from our soil and our water to all the inputs that it takes, all the transportation, all the manpower, and woman power that goes to create our food. It just is the logical and relatively, compared to a lot of the challenges we face, I think one of the areas where we have the best ability to make really big progress pretty quickly. So these are just, opportunities to capture value where it's being lost, and there's, everybody's aligned from an economic standpoint to do a better job on this. So, I think when you look at, particularly from a climate change standpoint, and the impact and emissions that come from waste, I think the imperative grows to make sure we actually reduce our footprint from the waste that we're producing. So yeah, I just think for me, in the combination of the impact that it's having, as well as the solutions that are at hand, it always sits at the very top of areas that, I think we collectively can focus on and make a big impact.
There are a lot of statistics out right now that everybody is aware of about how big the food waste problem is in the US and why that's important and what we should do about it. But from my perspective, there are not many people who know that actually fruits and vegetables comprise over 40% of the food that we waste. And as a dietitian who really spends my professional career trying to get kids to eat healthier, this is a bit of a disappointment to me. It's not only an environmental problem because of those fruits and vegetables that are being wasted, but it's also an ethical problem because there's about 11 million kids in the US right now who are part of a family that's food insecure. And there are statistics that say people expect it to go up to 18% by the end of this calendar year. So this is something that we really need to try to tackle for both environmental and ethical reasons. So what we've done at Chartwell's is to find a way where we can get kids to eat choose and eat more of their fruits and vegetables. And we call that program Mood Boost. And it's something where we have helped kids connect what they eat and how they feel. So we're not just telling them eat your fruits and vegetables because they're going to make you healthy, but we're telling them eat your fruits and vegetables because they're going to make you feel better. They can help your mood. They can make you happier or stronger or smarter. Blueberries can make you a little bit smarter. Broccoli can help your memory. Citrus foods can make you a little bit more confident. So things like that we are doing with our Mood Boost program. And then we make it fun, as we try to do with all of our students, through giveaways and fun activities in the cafeteria. They really learn to eat their fruits and vegetables, which in turn really, we hope, will make a difference in the fruits and vegetables that are being wasted across this country. Because if we're not eating them, then they're going into the landfill or hopefully some kind of a composting system. And we already know that we have not enough land and not enough water to grow the fruits and vegetables for us to eat in this country and around the world. So that's the K-12 perspective on why reducing food waste is important.
I think reducing food waste is incredibly important right now because it's the core of our lives as human beings, first of all, and it makes me think a lot about compassion and how through reducing food waste, we're not only doing something that is helpful for our environment, but we're also doing something that is helpful for our global community. And in reducing food waste, we can create food accessibility to those who are really in need. And so in thinking of it through that lens, I think that reducing food waste can be far more powerful than just, freezing leftovers or remixing, pre-cooked rice into rice pudding. It's really something that can be incredibly empowering from the standpoint of not only is it for, you as an individual being more eco-friendly, helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it's also a way that we can remind ourselves of our interconnectedness. And it's a way that we can be more mindful and honor the food that's on our plates and honor all of the energy and time put into it, not only by our planet, but also by those who produce it. And I think it can become this practice that's really intentional and purposeful. And so I think that reducing food waste is incredibly important in the sense that it reminds us of that interconnected web that we all exist within. And it also reminds us that it's so important to be intentional with the actions we can take.
As chefs and experts, how have you been able to really inspire change to the food system regarding food waste?
Inspiring change is honestly, it's not that hard. All we have to do is talk about it. So most people really don't realize how much food waste they're actually throwing away, or the process of sort of where the waste is happening. Because if you ask everyone, they say, you know what, I don't have that problem. I don't throw away too much stuff, right? And then we find out we do. There are so many steps along the way that we can reduce, but the most importantly thing that we have to do is continue talking about it. We have to talk about it. We have to make people aware so that it's in our forefront when we're doing these things.
From the very onset of joining Morrison Healthcare, I had one goal or mission in mind that I reminded my staff, my team members, and everyone within Morrison. Our goal is to be the global leader of transforming the food service industry with care, using the power of food to revitalize the experience by providing nutrient-dense foods that excite the senses, to nourish and to heal all of our patients that which we touch, to reinvent cafeterias into destination food halls by creating branded concepts that both comfort and energize. My responsibility at Morrison and our opportunity, we're broad in like 44 states across the country. And with that garners a great responsibility and opportunity. We make a huge impact on what's being grown, sold, used in near every state in the country. Danny, we began our journey at the source by partnering with local farmers to rescue imperfect produce. We find a use of that inside our foods in our menus for both patient and our retail offerings. We use that to help eliminate food waste from the ground zero, right at the farm. In our kitchen, we heighten awareness of our culinary team members by separating green food waste, trim, bones, eggshells, cores, those type of unusable scraps, but separating that from avoidable food waste, such as overproduction and poorly handled food, to provide awareness of where we're making mistakes and how much food is actually going to waste by overproduction, by overcooking foods. And so with that awareness, we're creating a culture of discipline, that culture of discipline to embrace the foods in which we have the responsibility to garner, to provide, to feed. And lastly, within our region production facilities, we're investing in these operations to maximize local purchasing, strategically all of our cold and hot food products for our accounts, and consciously address the overproduction to provide product consistency, and importantly, to maximize cross-utilization of products, which dramatically reduces food waste at the source, right at the production source.
That's a good question, how I've inspired change. I know you guys are going to have to ask other people. I mean, I think for me, trying to create change is always a multifaceted, approach. I think, part of what we have to do here is create better business solutions to really drive the change we need. So, I'm working on a number of things at Acre. We've made an investment in company, spoiler alert, that's really empowering companies to manage their supply chains and their inventory better and actually capture much more value for those products instead of throwing them away. And they're absolutely crushing it. And I encourage anybody who's working on this to reach out to them. I'm also, doing a lot of work with a company called KC Ag, which is capturing, saving food from retail in a massive scale and processing that into animal feed. And when you look at, say, a chicken that is fed on waste that otherwise would go, you can get pretty close to a carbon neutral, a dramatically reduced carbon bird. And we can start to find ways where we're producing animal protein in a very sustainable way. So that's really exciting. So big scalable solutions are needed. I think that's part of what's been missing from this area. It's, a lot of the solutions, although, really beautiful and well-intended, have been very difficult to scale. So that's one area that I spent a lot of time in from a capital and a business perspective. But I also think, I'm working on Food Systems Summit and with the United Nations, and really trying to prioritize that on a global basis, because depending on where we are in the world, the reasons that food is not making it to the mouths of eaters is different. In many developing nations, obviously it's an issue of market access, and it's an issue of infrastructure more than it is, overabundance and cultural preference and such things like that. And then there's just culturally, I think ultimately so much of the change is going to also have to be rooted in shifting our culture. And about 40% of our waste stream comes from our homes, of which, myself and all of us are guilty of. And it is just too readily accepted as part of, the norm and what's okay. And I think we have to work on both making it not okay, and we're making some progress there, but also, provide people the tools and strategies to just do a better job at cooking and shopping and cooking and storing, preserving food, so that we're designing our lives at home in such a way that actually helps us reduce waste, make it much easier to do so. And I think when you put those pieces together, that's how, change starts to be accomplished.
I think I've been able to inspire change by really just being vulnerable and open with my own journey to being more sustainable, eco-friendly, reducing food waste. I think that it's really important to remember that we're all human, and that these journeys of improving and learning and growing is always, really imperfect, and it's one that you have to learn and grow through. And so in sharing my own, I feel like I've been able to open the door to others being more comfortable with, giving these intentional lifestyle choices a try, and not feeling so judged or worried about the experience, worried about it being perfect. And I've been really grateful to utilize my platforms for that, but also to create environments of education that really feel very collaborative. So through my nonprofit, not only am I sharing information about health and wellness or reducing food waste, eating more plants to the students that I get to work with, but they're also teaching me a lot, and we're able to learn and grow together. And so I really love that experience. And I think through vulnerability and just sharing our journeys, we can inspire many people.
Now, all chefs have tricks up their sleeves, except for me today because I have no sleeves. But from your home and your business, tricks that help from a food waste standpoint. Again, I'm into dehydration.
It's always good to give and share of our foods that we have instead of just keeping our foods to ourselves. It's always good to share, but to reduce that is definitely have something you can compost on a side in your kitchen with. And then from there, if you're a planter, if you have different plants, like we're in spring now, we're going to come up on summer, you can always use that compost for your plants. And I was just talking to somebody, actually, they have a balcony, for instance, and they want to grow little herbs. Well, you can also use that as your compost. You can also add in there. It's really a good find, and it's really good nutrition, what you want to grow. And you can always reuse what you have left. Like, for instance, you have banana peels, for instance, or if you have coffee grinds, just different things like that.
What's my go-to food waste hack? Good question. I mean, good question. Look, every chef, every kitchen and like every food tradition, has a lot of strategies around, what otherwise would become waste. Yesterday's rice, yesterday's bread turns into fried rice or French toast. There's like a million sort of strategies that, like, if you step back and look at it, those are all kind of traditional hacks for dealing with waste. I think one thing that all chefs do is if they got some lettuce that's not looking great, or any green that's sort of starting to look like it's on its last legs, an ice bath does wonders. So I use ice baths for any kind of vegetable that's sort of soft. Bring most of them right back to life. And that's obviously a giant source of our waste streams is our fresh produce, which of course is the thing we need to be eating the most of. So I would have a look at a good old ice bath if you're worried about your soft or wilting vegetables.
I love all food hacks, but I will tell you, I am the leftover queen. I can turn that dish into something else. So, hey, if lettuce and herbs are wilting, guess what? It's a sauce, it's a puree. Oh, I don't have time for this today. I'm gonna pop this in the freezer and tomorrow I'll use that for something else. Like, there's so many tricks that you can do. I think most importantly, you need to be aware that there is something that is starting to go bad and you need to use it right away. That saying, one apple ruins the bunch, or whatever it is, guess what? It's true. One rotted thing can mess everything up. So just be aware of what you have in your fridge. Use it. Leftovers are my fave.
I really, really, really want to thank our entire panel for taking the time today to be with us. Your expertise and passion will certainly inspire our audience today to do everything they possibly can to make every day Stop Food Waste Day. Thank you so much to everyone, and see you all soon.
I care because a better food system starts with us. I care because stopping food waste is good for both people and the planet.
I care because I don't want to live in a culture of food waste.
We care because we can't bear for people to go without.
I care because reducing food waste is the right thing to do.
I care because I can't bear to see people go without.
I care because reducing food waste is the right thing to do.
I care because 1 in 5 children are food insecure.
I care because food that goes to waste could go to help families in need.
I care because reducing food waste is the right thing to do.
I care because 1 in 5 children is food insecure.
I care to stop food waste, to protect our land and resources for the many generations that will follow.
I care because I want to set a good example for my kids.
I care because caring is the first step in taking action.
I care about reducing food waste because our planet Earth deserves a better future.
I care because it's an easy way to mitigate hunger.
I care because when you talk to people about food waste, they are likely to make a change.
I care because stopping food waste is good for both people and our planet.
I care because caring is the first step in taking action.
I care because there is too much love put in these meals to waste them.
I care because I respect farmers and farm workers.
I care because it's the easiest way to mitigate hunger.
I care because stopping food waste is the easiest thing that we can all do to change the world.
Wow, what a day so far. And we love all the comments we're getting from our viewers. Don't forget to share your favorite food waste hack using the hashtag StopFoodWasteDay.com. My personal favorite was from Chef Crystal, to share with your neighbor. So simple, yet powerful.
What an incredible day. I want to reiterate what Chef Haley Thomas spoke about earlier. She said that preventing food waste is an act of compassion, and I couldn't agree more. It's a way to honor those who grow, harvest, process, distribute, cook, serve, and sell the food we eat every day. And it's also a way to honor the soil, the air, and the water and other natural resources that make growing delicious food possible. It's one of the easiest and most impactful things we can do as eaters, reducing the amount of food waste in our own lives. We have a responsibility to solve this issue. And I'm so glad that we were able to hear from incredible speakers like Senator Stabenow, who talked about the important role of farmers in preventing food loss and waste. And I loved how Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams was speaking from his kitchen about how not to waste food at home. And again, Dr. Salmon, who encouraged us to learn from traditional wisdom, and Emily Ma, who understands that while technology is not a silver bullet for preventing waste or hunger, it can help us understand and take on these challenges. A big thank you to all of the panelists. Your expertise and ability to communicate has made this Stop Food Waste Day an incredible event, and I can't wait till next year when we're all together in person. For those of you who wish to learn more about food loss and food waste, please check out foodtank.com and stopfoodwasteday.com. Thank you so much again.
A special thank you to all of you at home who have tuned in. We started out today talking about how no one wants to waste food. And after the inspiring guests, I think we all have a greater appreciation for the love and care that goes into the food that we eat. And now that we all know better, let's do better together. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for our 2021 Stop Food Waste Day virtual event. Please follow us on social media and visit our website for helpful tips and take our pledge to make every day Stop Food Waste Day. Remember, if you care at all, you'll do your part.
Our time don't come, so make we sabi say our culture be our power. So make we go back, then go carry our forefathers the music. So we go take high life music, then we go on reggae music. We go take Afrobeat. Now so where we go they do la 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 It be so we for them every day. Afro roots now. It be so we for Right from Africa, people, you hear the feeling right now, you know? Everybody go dey talk say Afro roots. 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 I say everybody go dey talk Afro roots. Hey, everybody go dey talk Afro roots. Everybody go dey sing Afro roots. Everybody go dey talk Afro roots. Oh, everybody go dey talk Afro roots. Everybody go dey sing Afro roots. Everybody go dey talk Afro roots. Everybody go dey sing Afro roots. Everybody go dey talk. Everybody go dey sing. Everybody go dey talk.